All right, we are live with the Combatcast, and we are excited because we got a good card this weekend. It's UFC 304, and before that, we're going to talk about Jake Paul and Mike Perry. We're going to talk about this past weekend's UFC Fight Night. But first, let's tell people who pays the bills.
That's right. We'd like to thank our sponsor for the podcast, Game Up. They make a thirst-quenching adult beverage special blend of electrolytes. Currently comes in 4 great flavors: fruit punch, orange, lemon, lime, and grape.
That's right. Low carb, only 110 calories, so get yourself some Game Up.
Coming up on the Combatcast, August 3rd, UFC Fight Night, Sandhagen versus Nurmagomedov. And then August 10th, UFC Fight Night, Tybura versus Spivak. And then August 17th, UFC 305, Duplessis versus Adesanya for the middleweight title.
Yes, that should be a good one. All right. As I get ready to share this here for our fans, hopefully some people will watch us. Let's talk about, you said Adesanya coming up and Duplessis. And I was thinking about strikers in boxing as soon as you said that too, like MMA and the stuff going on with Jake Paul. So Jake Paul and Mike Perry boxed this weekend. And I think me and Chevy talked about it. We thought Mike Perry's chin and just his ability with his power to walk people down would be enough because we recognize that Paul has some boxing skills. We try, unlike other people, just to completely disrespect him. But we also realize that, hey, this might be a challenge where someone could take him. I got to watch a stream of it the next day. Did not happen, obviously. It was interesting. Perry was really outsized when you look at it. Jake Paul might be on some questionable substances, who's to say, but he looked very gassed after throwing a lot of power punches early too, almost like somebody was on some substances. But anyway, now that being said, big problem here with Mike Perry that I didn't realize or think about was, we think about bare knuckle striking. He's beat some boxers in bare knuckle, but no ability, no boxing defense by Perry here. Chin up, hands down, didn't clinch. Maybe 1 or 2 clinches happened in this fight altogether, probably by accident. And and then Perry was just outmatched. But at the end of the day, Perry's chin did keep him in this fight for a while. And because Jake did gas out for a little bit, Perry was able to walk him down, cut him, and make the fight interesting. But by round 6, maybe even sooner, like Jake Paul had turned it around. But round 6, it was over. But credit to Mike Perry. He gave his, thoughts afterwards. He said Jake was too quick for him, and he was a lot bigger and stronger than I realized. Perry said he'd definitely be open to do MMA, which no shit. He'd definitely be open to do bare knuckle, no shit. But I guess I'll get your opinion on what you think of this stuff. But also, I just want to say one other thing added to it. Jake Paul called out Alex Pereira after this, the little FaceTime and stuff with him. I don't know if you saw this, but he did, yeah. And he also said he would decapitate and dethrone him. That's not happening. This fight's probably not happening because Dana White's not going to gamble on letting Alex Pereira do this. But I just want to say, and I could be damned if I do, damned if I don't here. Jake tends to pick his opponents very carefully. But if they ever did let him fight Alex Pereira, like, that's one fight where I feel pretty confident I'm going with Alex Pereira. This motherfucker is an elite kickboxer. All right, so he has his boxing skills. Oh, and by the way, he's big as a fucking house, too. And he's not Mike Tyson big. Like, he's big and he's in his prime. And, so, yeah, I think Jake's picking that fight because he knows he's not going to get that fight.
Yeah, I don't have a lot to add to this. Yeah, impressed by Jake.
Yes.
He is a weight bully. He barely made weight, and Perry only weighed in at like 195 pounds, and he didn't cut very much for that. So Jake is just bigger, but he has been working on just boxing for 7 years. He has skills. He obviously has power. I'm impressed that he was able to knock out Mike Perry. So what he does from here certainly won't be Alex Pereira, but I don't know where he goes from here. I'm sure, but I'm kind of over the him beating up former MMA guys thing.
Yeah.
He's clearly gonna have the edge over these former MMA guys. We should all just accept that at this point. I know a lot of us don't want to. I know some people in our friends group that don't want to accept that, but it's just facts at this point. So love him or hate him, he could box certain people. So
absolutely, he's got himself to a certain skill level due to hard work, and then on top, we said this before, he carefully picks his opponents who have name value or they lack something, whether it's size, whether it's they're older, or whether they're just not overall good boxing strikers.
Yeah.
You know?
His team is very, very smart.
Yeah. I would say there's a few MMA strikers that could beat him. But those are your Alex Pereiras, those are your Israel Adesanyas. And those guys,
they got to be his size at this point. I think
got to be his size. I don't know if Adesanya necessarily. Adesanya would probably be close to his size. He's deceptively big,
taller. Yeah,
yeah, but also just an elite striker. Again, we're talking about too. You know, but yeah, it is what it is. They're very careful about what they pick, and I think Bisping said he's probably going to call out somebody like a Darren Till or someone next. You know what I mean? If he doesn't get his Mike Tyson fight in November. Someone asked me about that fight the other day if that happens, and I said 50-50. There's money to be made, but there's enough stuff to go wrong that I could see it not happening.
I hope it doesn't happen, but the Darren Till's a little bit interesting. I mean, I would favor Jake, but size-wise, I know Till got down to 170, but we know he left the UFC to get on supplements to heal his knee or whatever. So I assume he's getting some other benefits from that. And I assume size is one of them. We know he's pretty tall. So if he puts the weight on, he has skills. So that could be his next opponent. But got to favor Jake at this point until proven otherwise.
Absolutely, at this point. All right. That's enough of our YouTube boxing here. We want to talk about UFC 3-4. Let's quickly just give you the results of the main event and co-main event from this past weekend's Fight Night.
Yeah. Co-main event. Well, yeah. So there was some undercard, some prelim things. Miranda Maverick got a win. Cody Gibson versus Brian Kelleher was an exciting fight while it lasted. Cody Gibson got a arm triangle choke in the first round.
Duchoi Hoi got a
Duho Choi, Korean Superboy versus Bill Algeo. That was a good fight. But Bruno Silva versus Cody Durden was probably the fight that was the best for me. Cody Durden was winning. These are two American top team guys, so same camp, but the camp is so big that they're not really training partners. But there seemed like there was a little bit of animosity between them when the fight started, but Cody Durden dominated the first two rounds, and then Bruno Silva came back in the third vicious KO. He got a TKO, so shout out to him. But let's move on to the main card. Co-main event was supposed to be Brad Tavares versus Jung Young Park, the Iron Turtle, but after he weighed in, he had some sort of medical issue and had to pull out. So co-main event ended up being Steve Garcia TKOing Seungwoo Choi.
Yep.
I didn't know much about either guy, really, to be honest with you, before the fight happened, but that was the result.
Garcia's got some good hands. He did have an interview. I don't know if you caught this interview. He said he wanted to play DC in golf.
Yes, and DC clapped right back at him. Yeah,
he'll lose that, and the commenters like, "Can't give him his moment."
Yeah, nah. DC is still competitive. Yeah, but main event though, Amanda Lemos versus Verna Jandiroba. We didn't get this one right. I thought Lemos was going to win, but Jandiroba utilized the grappling. Amanda was too comfortable to grapple with her. Ended up getting armbarred in round 2, so she called for a title shot.
Yeah, that was it. Yeah, quick submission win. I watched this with a couple friends, and everybody had already tapped out, including somebody after the first round said, "I'm too tired. I can't make this." And then the next round, this fight was over. So, But yeah, I mean, those are fight nights. I mean, there wasn't a ton of names at the Apex, and but wasn't a bad card overall. But definitely probably nothing overly noteworthy. Unlike this weekend, UFC 304, and we got a pretty damn good card here. Chevy, before we get to this main card, is there any fights you want to call out here?
Molly McCann, Bruna Brazil is on there. Molly McCann's always exciting on a Paddy Pimblett card. There'll be a lot of hype around her. She is a favorite in this fight as well, which she hasn't been a favorite in a fight like since the last time she fought in England. Nathaniel Wood versus Daniel Pineda, also good matchmaking.
Yes.
But the whole main card is great. So you want to get right into that?
Let's do it.
All right. Starting off the main card with Arnold Allen versus Giga Chikadze.
All right. Chikadze is 15-3, 9 KOs, 1 sub, 5 decisions. Performance of the night 3 times. I bring this up because Jamie Simmons, Cub Swanson, and Edson Barboza. All right. So impressive performance with some well-named talent there. Arnold Allen, 19-3, 7 KOs, 4 subs, 8 decision wins. He's coming off a loss over an undefeated prospect there. Do you know the guy's name? Mozvar?
Yeah, Evalev.
Evilov, thank you. I'm struggling on that name. But he's undefeated. And Max Holloway. Those are his 2 most recent fights. They were losses. But before that, this guy was on a 12-fight win streak, beating guys like Gilbert Melendez, Dan Hooker, and Calvin Kattar. So Arnold Allen is the real deal. This should be a real good fight. I think Allen needs to get back in the win column here. And I think Allen, I don't know, I like him just slightly bit more, but I think it's going to go decision. I got Arnold Allen by decision.
Yeah, Giga has an exciting style, but I just think Arnold is the better fighter overall. So he's certainly fought the tougher competition, at least, as you mentioned. So I agree with you. I think after 2 straight losses, now he's on home soil because he is English. He's going to be poised to get this decision win. I think it'll be decision as well. Let's move on to the next fight. Muhammad Mokaev versus Manel Kape.
All right. Manel Kape is 19-6, 11 KOs, 5 subs, 3 decision wins. And Muhammad is 12-0-1, 2 KOs, 6 subs, 4 decisions. Performance of the nights against Cody Durden and Tim Elliott. And he's tied with Benavidez and Pantoja for the second longest win streak in UFC Flyweight division history. So good fight. At this point, no one's been able to figure out the Muhammad puzzle. So I'm going to go with him once again by decision.
Yeah, I'm still not convinced that Kape makes it to the cage because he has like 9 pullouts in his UFC career. I don't know if you'll remember, this is the guy who was trying to fight Israel Adesanya while talking shit to Kai Kara France in the stands at the weigh-ins or whatever. This guy is a good fighter, but seems like a real piece of trash outside the cage. So I think he's going to get what's coming to him. If he makes it to the cage, we still got plenty of time for him to pull out. So I'm going to pick Mokaev, but I think it's going to be decision. I think his wrestling is the best wrestling in the division. He needs to be careful on the feet, though, because Kape can crack. But I'll pick Mokaev by decision. All right. Let's move on to a very exciting fight here. King Green versus Paddy Pimblett.
Is he no longer Bobby Green? Is it just King Green?
He has now officially changed his name from Bobby to King Green.
All right. Respect to King. 32-15, 1-1, 11 KOs, 9 subs, 12 decisions. He's won 3 out of his last 4. And honestly, Bobby's a legend. He just recently beat Jim Miller. Bobby just, he's looking good at this point in his career, honestly, I think. He's not shown that he's going to beat those top 5 guys. But, if you're a Tony Ferguson on the decline or you're another tough competitor who's been around, Bobby seems to be a step ahead. And that might be enough for Paddy Pimblett because Paddy Pimblett has looked good at times, but against a certain amount of different competition. Now, Paddy Pimblett here is 21-3, 6 KOs, 9 subs, 6 decisions. The one win on Paddy Pimblett's resume in UFC, Jared Gordon, which is somewhat questionable. A lot of people thought he lost that fight. Green has fought as well, but they had an accidental clash of heads, so there was no decision in that fight. So this is very interesting to see how this works. King Green likes to fight. He's got that exciting style. Pimblett isn't really in boring fights, for whatever you want to say about him. Other than that Gordon fight where it looked like he lost, most of his fights have been pretty exciting and have finishes. So, and this is his last fight on his contract, which is kind of interesting to me too. And he has mentioned that he wouldn't mind trying to do some of these boxing matches and stuff, which I agree. It's horrible because we know Paddy can get up to size, but not healthy. And, he would definitely create interest, but we both know that he gets hit a lot in MMA. So, but I guess my point of this is it's interesting that he decided to ride out because, he could very well lose this fight and then his stock isn't going to be what it once was. Paddy seems to do well when the chips are down, though. I think Pimblett's going to win this fight. I think it's going to be a good fight. I see you look at. I'm not saying I could see Green just laying him out. And I don't mean in a sort of mismatch. I just mean Bobby's just got great quick hands. Paddy gets hit, but I feel like Paddy's going to find a way to win in front of his hometown. I think he's going to get clipped, but I think he's going to come up and he's going to end up getting a choke or something, and he's going to find a way to submit Green in a dogfight. But I'll say it'll go round 2. I just have this feeling it's going to be a crazy fight. Green's going to clip him a bunch of times, but Paddy's going to find a way to get a submission here.
Yeah, I think we're on the same page for this. So I expect Paddy to run across the cage immediately and start swinging with Bobby because he truly believes that he cannot get knocked out. Paddy believes that he cannot get knocked out. So if Bobby is going to win, I think he needs to clip him and KO him early in that exchange, maybe, because if he doesn't KO him, Paddy's going to realize that he doesn't want to really be on the feet. He wants to run across the cage, prove a point, and then he wants to get the win. So I think he goes in there. If he doesn't get knocked out in that exchange, he's going to start wrestling and going for every submission he can get a hold of. And he's just a far better grappler than Bobby Green. So it's also possible that in that wild exchange, because Bobby has been knocked out quite a few times at this point, even though he has tremendous defense, it's not with his hands up. So when he does get touched, it can be the end of his night. So this fight could end up very, at any time, in any way. But I think I'm with you. I'm going to pick the baddie by submission. I'm going to say round 3, though. I think you see a wildfire firefight early on, then settles down a little bit, and you see Paddy kind of take over with the wrestling and the grappling, nullifying the striking of Bobby or King Green.
All right.
Let's move on to the fight I am absolutely the most excited about, the co-main event: Tom Aspinall versus Curtis Blaydes.
Yeah, I can see that. Curtis Blaydes, 18-4-1, 13 KOs, 5 decisions. Tom Aspinall, your current interim heavyweight champion. He's 14-3, 11 KOs, 3 subs. All his wins are by finishes. It's an interesting fight. Curtis has the prior win when they met before. That was a TKO knee injury, where I think most people would even agree Tom had a knee problem going into the fight too, I believe. And it's just one of those things. He got caught. It is what it is. And his knee got hurt, and Tom had to go to surgery.
But he was throwing a kick, and it hit Curtis on the elbow or something,
right.
And it tore something in his knee. Tore his knee.
Right. Yeah, that's right. So, which is even more wild.
Yeah.
So it's not like we found out who the better fighter was that day. Now I think Tom might be the best heavyweight out there right now. Best complete heavyweight. Great wrestling, great submission. He doesn't have better wrestling than Curtis Blaydes, though. I don't think anybody has better wrestling than Curtis Blaydes in the heavyweight division. And Curtis Blaydes, I feel, is a guy that continuously works on his striking as well. He sees an area he needs improving. He works on it. In the past, he's gotten TKOs over people like Alistair Overeem as well, through ground and pound.
Brutal TKO on Alistair.
But at the end of the day, I got to go with Tom here because I just feel like based off what I've seen and what I know of both men, I think he's the more complete fighter. But it's been said this is Tom's toughest stylistic matchup that he could have. And honestly, Blaydes is constantly improving so much too. Again, almost like in the fight prior, I wouldn't be surprised if he catches Tom and knocks him out. Like, I think it's a real possibility. So I'm picking Tom, but this is another fight I could see go either way. Randy Oscar in the comments, I just want you to know I see you. This is an amazing card. I'm excited for it.
Yeah, this is Tom's toughest matchup for sure. And like you were just saying, because Curtis's wrestling is so great and he has been working on his striking, people are so worried about his wrestling, it opens up opportunities for him to get his hands on Tom or something. And at that weight, if you land a punch, it can put anyone in the division out. So that is an option. But I think he's going to mostly just go for wrestling, I think, at this point, because he knows that's where he has the advantage over everyone in the division. And I think Curtis feels a lot of pressure in this position. So this is like the third time or something that he's gotten to just before a title shot. And he's always fallen short at this point. So I wonder if that is going into his mind. I don't know how mentally strong he is, or if he can just push that to the side, or he doesn't even think about it, or if it's weighing on him. But he has seemed unlucky in this position before. And although this is Tom Aspinall's toughest matchup, Tom Aspinall is the best heavyweight in the world. So I don't think he's worried at all. I think he's 100% confident that he's going to win. And I don't know if Curtis really is. So at home, again, I'm going to pick Tom Aspinall I'm going to say TKO. He might catch Curtis shooting, which has happened a lot. So catch Curtis shooting in and then finish him with some hammer fists or something. I'll say TKO round 2.
All right. I didn't actually say by how. I'm going to go with your TKO. I'll go round 3. I think it's similar. I think Blaydes is probably going to, lunge in. It's happened before, like you said. And honestly, too, I wouldn't be surprised. Again, no disrespect to Blaydes. I could see him catching him or something too. But Tom's striking is really getting really good too. And he walked through those punches by Sergey. So that's different. So don't be surprised if someone goes out in the first round here either. But yeah, I'm with you. I think this is the fight I'm looking forward to. Other than that, Paddy King Green.
That is very interesting matchup for sure. This has way more implications though.
Absolutely.
Yeah. All right, let's get into this main event. Leon Edwards versus Belal Muhammad for the welterweight belt.
Belal Muhammad has won 9 out of his last 10 fights. The lone exception was the accidental eye poke that led to a no contest with Leon Edwards. Belal is 23-3-1. He's got 5 KOs, 1 subs, 17 decisions. That's the big knock on him. He's a decision guy. He does have a KO recently over Sean
Brady, who was undefeated at the time.
Yeah. And Edwards, he's 22-3-1, 7 KOs, 3 subs, 12 decisions. He's the champ. He's beat Usman for the title. A fight he was losing, he won with a head kick with seconds left. So we know he's mentally tough. He got back in there with Usman, beat him by decision, looked like a different fighter, close fight. Fought Kobe Covington, stylistically a similar matchup to Usman, but probably a little better in the cardio, with the way he walks people down and stuff too. You could argue anyway. He beat Kobe too. I think he's looking forward to fighting somebody like Belal. I could see Belal winning this. He has the skills to do this. He's unfairly knocked, but this is a situation where these probably are currently the 2 best welterweights in the world right now, and Leon Edwards is the champ. So for me, I'm going to go with the champ in this situation because I think we talked about it here before when it was boxing manager Freddie Roach made that confident when you become champion, you automatically get 30% better. And Leon, to me, has shown that because he went back and beat Usman in that rematch, and he just looked like a better fighter. So Belal, no disrespect, he could get there, but until he gets there, right now I'm going with Edwards. And I think it's going to be a long night. I think it's going to be decision.
I've gone back and forth on this a few times, and I think I'm actually going to flip from what I have in my notes here. But Belal finally getting his opportunity, like you were saying, he's been on a long win streak. Leon been kind of ducking him since that no contest they had. But I don't like the way that he's been talking about Leon in the buildup. He was saying he's going to be talking to Leon's corner during the fight, and he's going to pull a Khabib and throw his mouthpiece at him after the fight. Sounds like he's a little bit too emotional going into this, which I think would be a detriment to him. He just needs to go in there, focus on a game plan, which he's worked on a game plan with Khabib, who's, he's in Khabib's camp at this point. And I assume Khabib can dismantle a Leon Edwards type fighter. So if he has Belal on the right track to do that, I think I'm going to pick Belal. So it needs to be the top level that Belal can come at that. We need to see the fighter that fought Sean Brady, because he was very aggressive. He didn't allow himself to be walked down. And he's going to have to move through some punches or kicks that Leon's going to throw at him to get his hands on him. So I think he needs to be aggressive, get him up against the cage, do what Belal does, and clinch and wrestle, and hopefully get a choke and not go 5 rounds. But I'm going to pick Belal. I think he's mentally strong. He's going to come in here. He's feeling a lot of pressure for this whole Palestine thing to get a win. I think he rises to the occasion. Decision win for Belal. He's the new champ.
All right. We'll see what happens. Either way, I'm looking forward to this fight card. Even the main event, even though stylistically I could see this being a long fight, I do think the rest of the card is going to be exciting stylistically. And who knows what's going to happen for sure in the main event. So, like Chevy said, we could have a new champion. We'll have to wait and see. But in the meantime, Chevy, tell people what else we got coming up.
August 3rd, UFC Fight Night, Sandhagen versus Nurmagomedov. Great matchmaking there. And then August 10th, UFC Fight Night, Tybura versus Spivak. Not so great matchmaking on that one. And then August 17th, UFC 305, Duplessis versus Adesanya for the middleweight belt.
All right, super excited for some of those fights. In the meantime, guys, enjoy UFC 304 this weekend, and also enjoy some Game Up.
If you haven't tried Game Up, then you are missing out. Imagine your favorite seltzer and your favorite sports drink had a baby, but it's way better than that. Each can is 110 calories, low carb, 4.9 ABV. It's a nice light drink that is not light on flavor. Game Up comes in fruit punch, orange, lemon, lime, and grape. Pick it up at drinkgameup.com or at your nearest